So with that, let's get started and turn things over. So today we have two awesome talks. The first one is from Raghav Dua, who is joining us from Amsterdam. And Raghav's going to talk about MCP gateways and the work he's been doing at MCP Jungle. It's a very popular open source project. It's been gaining a lot of traction. And then after that, Kelly is going to join us from Pipe17. Kelly is the COO there, and he's going to talk about the approach they've taken around an MCP strategy at Pipe17 and what they're building for agentic commerce. So two great talks. Kelly's joining us from Wisconsin, right? Did you say Wisconsin, Kelly?
Correct. Northern Wisconsin.
So Amsterdam, Wisconsin. Darren and I are here on the West Coast, where Darren's in Arizona. So should be a great day today. But I'm going to turn it over to you, Raghav. Do you have your screen shared up, and we'll get that put up to the screen?
Hey, Sharon, thanks a lot. Thank you for having me. I will just share my screen.
There we go. I think I see it now. All right. The floor is yours, Raghav.
All right, then we're all set. Yeah, thank you so much, Sharon. Very excited to be here. And hello, everyone. I'm Raghav. Thanks for the introduction, Sharon. I'm going to be talking about MCP gateways today, what exactly they are, what problems they are solving, given that MCP itself is a pretty new technology, right? What is the idea behind gateways, and what is the kind of work that we are doing with the MCP Jungle? MCP Jungle is it's a fully open source MCP gateway. It's designed for developers and their teams. So we're going to be diving into that. Quick small presentation, then quick small demo. That's the plan for today. So let's jump into it. Yeah, so let's talk about day one. Day one, when you as a developer just started using MCPs because MCPs are cool. And what you do on day one is just, for example, you configure your GitHub MCP server in your Claude, and now suddenly Claude is able to talk to your GitHub or a file system MCP. Just pick one and start using it. And you start seeing the magic that it brings, right? An LLM that can connect to external world and take actions on your behalf by understanding you, or just explore some data. And that's awesome, right? If you just do this, you don't need an MCP gateway, honestly, right? That's not your problem, okay? The problem starts when you start scaling out a little, right? Scaling out is something that both you as a developer individually might do, or as a company, as an org, right? Let's think about what scaling out means, right? Let's say right now you were just using one MCP server like Context7 or GitHub, and your life is good. But now you want to add some more MCPs because you want your cloud to be even more powerful. Not just cloud, we'll talk about other clients also, but yeah, you want your cloud to have more access, do more stuff for you. So you add 5 more MCP servers. You have GitHub, you have Time, File System, Context7, DeepWiki, and whatnot. These MCPs in turn expose a bunch of tools, right? Some might expose only 2 or 3 tools. Some might expose like tens of tools. And over time, the number of tools will also increase, right? Now, currently you just had one Claude, right? But you now also want to start connecting to MCPs via your other clients. Like you have your custom AI agents, your workflows, or other things like IDE, Cursor, or VS Code, right? So you see where it starts to multiply, right? Many MCP servers, many tools, many clients, and now it's all it's about to get chaotic because of all these connections and all these communications, right? That is where MCP gateways really solve a bunch of problems. So what are these problems, right? Number one, when you have so many of MCP servers and tools, these are just spread all over. You don't know at any given time what all stuff might be running, right? This is especially a problem in an org, like in a small team of people. Somebody just deployed their MCP, somebody else is deploying the same MCP. They don't realize that this is already working. So instead of using or reusing, they just deploy their own version of it, right? So hard to keep track of how many MCPs are running if you have 50 or 60 MCPs running, right? There's a big configuration hell, as you can see. As someone who is using, like, let's say 10 MCPs, I think you will understand that adding all these configurations in Claude and then like just looking at it, it's a daunting task, right? And having to change this, especially once you scale out and like you have more than just Claude, you have more AI agents, and you have to manage these configurations across all of these clients. It suddenly blows up, right? So that's the configuration hell. And then of course, when so many of these tools are exposed to your LLM, this will really hurt your LLM in two ways. One, it's going to blow up the tokens, right? So it's going to increase your cost. Second, and more important one, in my opinion, is when you expose like 50 or 100 tools to your LLM, when it only needs like 5 to do its job well, you are actually hurting the accuracy of the LLM a lot, right? Because you're just unnecessarily giving it so many options to choose from, and it might not choose the right tool. It might get confused or choose the wrong tool, right? So uh, the lesser, the narrower you can make it, the set of tools you expose to LLM, the better it is, right? You don't want to go in the opposite direction. So, but if you just have multiple MCPs, multiple tools, you're going to run into this problem as well. Similarly, yeah, other things are also nightmare, like different MCPs expose different kinds of authentication mechanisms, OAuth, you've got the bearer token, stuff like that. So you're going to have to configure all your clients to use these different kinds of auth, especially if you're building your own AI agents, right? Claude or popular clients might support OAuth out of the box. But for bearer tokens and stuff, you're going to have to still configure, and AI agents, you implement your own OAuth client. Yeah, and lastly, given all these communications, right? All your different AI agents, MCP clients talking to all your different MCP servers, you have zero visibility on what's actually going on underneath. You don't know like which tool is being called how many times or which tool is failing a lot. Yeah, and in production scenarios, it can really be a nightmare, right? So no visibility. Yeah, these are the sort of problems you face when you start to scale out, right? And some of these are problems that you will face as a developer individually when you're just using MCPs locally for your own personal work. And some of these are problems that you will face when you are in an organization trying to collaborate on MCPs with your teams. Okay. So what does a gateway do? A gateway simply tries to solve all of these problems. Let's see how. This is a very simplified concept of an MCP gateway, but it nails where it needs to nail, right? There are a bunch of things. Firstly, you might have heard different kinds of terms out there thrown on the internet. A gateway, a MCP proxy, MCP registry, aggregator. Now we also have the official registry from Anthropic. All these terms, yes, all these are different kinds of tools which serve different purposes. But at the core, a gateway, proxy, registry, aggregator, anything, at the core, they do one thing, right? And that one thing is to collect all the MCP servers that are running in your system and then just put them in one place, right? They may not be deploying these MCPs, but they are at the very least tracking these MCP servers. They have the knowledge of all these in one central place. That's the idea of all these different tools, right? And they may expose these MCPs to your clients to use. That's the basic idea of an MCP gateway, right? So as you can see in this graphic, right, a gateway is essentially like two components. It provides an interface, right, for people to just be able to manage MCP servers, to be able to connect to them or like configure their connections. That's what a gateway does. And then the critical component is a gateway itself acts as an MCP server, which exposes all the other MCP servers from its backside, right? And this one MCP is good enough for all your MCP clients to connect to. So essentially, instead of this kind of a configuration hell, you just supply one endpoint to your MCP clients to connect to. So whether it's Claude or your AI agents, you just supply one endpoint, the endpoint of the gateway, and through this endpoint, they can access all the other MCP servers that you control, you want to track, and on the backside. That's the idea. Okay. That automatically solves a lot of problems. It solves the configuration hell. And it gives you a lot of benefits, which we are going to talk about. But yeah, essentially we are centralizing the management of all the MCP servers that are currently just spread around. Okay. So what are the benefits of such an MCP gateway? You can count, right? All the MCP management and tracking becomes super simple because now there is one central place where you can see all your MCP servers. You know exactly what MCPs you're relying on. If something is not here, you're sure that it's not being used. But if something is here, somebody could be using it. Okay. Collaboration. Not only can you personally use these MCPs, you can allow other people in your teams to also use these MCPs, right? That's what a gateway provides. If you sort of deploy this gateway on a server, and then everybody could access that server, right? Access control, big one. It's if you're an individual developer, like just doing stuff for your personal use, you don't really care about access control. It's all yours. But if you're working in a team, you might deeply care about who or what client gets what kind of access to which MCP server. Okay, if I'm exposing GitHub, I want that this and this agent should only be able to read stuff from GitHub. It should never be able to commit anything or write anything in GitHub, right? If you just have an MCP server, you can't really control that. But if you have a gateway could allow you to have that sort of a control, right? And you could apply access control, and then you can give certain authentication to the agent that the agent is only allowed to do certain operations. Okay. Then audits, security, and observability, right? So all the interactions that happen between your clients and your MCP servers, every tool call, all of it is being recorded. Why? You might need it for audit, again, in a team, in an organization scenario, or you might need observability on it. What is going on? Which MCP is working fine? Which one's giving a lot of errors? And if there is an issue, like if something breaks, how do I start troubleshooting, right? First, I need visibility into where exactly is it breaking. So all of that observability layer is also something a gateway can provide out of the box. So there's a lot of stuff that happens here. A gateway essentially centralizes all your MCPs and then provides you all the benefits of centralization, right? And this is where MCP Jungle jumps in. So essentially, it's something that we built to, like, we started building to solve our own problems. As I myself am a developer who loves using MCPs. In my IntelliJ IDEs, or even sometimes with Claude. And when I started running into these problems, because I had many different MCPs and I want to use them all, but not run into all these things, that's how MCP Jungle came into being, right? At that time, I didn't even know what an MCP gateway was. It just naturally evolved into it. So MCP Jungle itself it's a fully open source effort. There's no company backing it. It's just built on the efforts of some really driven engineers. So it's something like that. It's self-hosted. It's an MCP gateway, but there's no SaaS provided or anything. You take it, you run it on your local machine, or you run it on a remote server in your infra. It's up to you, right? So you control everything, every aspect of this gateway, right? Who is it for? MCP Jungle exists to solve the problems of two kinds of people. One is if you're a developer who just wants to use MCPs for your personal use cases, right? If you just want to, you can run MCP Jungle locally, and you can add all your MCPs over there, and then whether you use Claude or VS Code, or you have your custom AI agents, you can just connect all of them to MCP Jungle, and you can manage however you like. Okay, they can access and they can talk to all your MCPs. That's just for your personal use. For your personal use, we recommend you just deploy it locally. And it is also designed for small teams or small organizations who want collaborative features, who want to collaborate with MCPs, but they do not want the overblown enterprise features that like other MCP, like enterprise grade MCP gateways provide, right? I don't mean that nobody needs those, right? They are designed for larger enterprises, but not everyone out there is a big enterprise. Most of the teams are just small teams who need a way to be able to collaborate on MCPs through a tool, right? But they don't need like super duper SOX compliance or stuff like that, right? MCP Jungle is also designed for smaller teams like that. For those kind of orgs, you can run it in your own org, in your own infra. I mean, it's self-hosted. It aims to be like a really lightweight tool, right? It doesn't want to be heavyweight. We want to balance features, being able to scale with the complexity, because first and foremost, we want MCP Jungle to be like super simple for you to use, right? It shouldn't be complex, but at the same time, it should give you enough features to just collaborate and still have some basic control in place. Yeah, and so yeah, we try to avoid bloat of any kind. It's just a simple to use gateway. That's it. Let's go right into a demo. I want to showcase the very basic stuff about MCP Jungle. I'm gonna run it just to show like how you as a developer could run it on your own system and use it for your own private use cases. But of course, MCP Jungle also has features for organizations to collaborate on. Yeah. Okay, so let's take a very simple scenario. You have your Claude and you probably configure a bunch of MCP servers in your Claude. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with, registering a simple MCP server in MCP Jungle. Instead of directly registering my MCP server in Claude, I'm going to just register it once in MCP Jungle. And then whether I use it from Claude or any other thing, it doesn't really matter, right? It's up to me. So I am currently already running MCP Jungle. Of course, all these instructions are on the README, but I don't think I've shown you this yet. But yeah, everything is on the documentation over here. It's very simple. You just pull a Docker Compose and you start running the server, and you can install the binary for a client. It's the same binary which runs the server and the client, by the way. Docker is just a very convenient way of running. Otherwise, you just fire up MCP Jungle start and it will start running the server. Okay, so I have my MCP Jungle server running, and as of now, it's the clean slate, right? So the simplest thing you would do is, the first thing you would do is just register an MCP server. Okay, so how about, let me start with the deep wiki. I need, okay, deep wiki URL. Let me get that. Okay, so once I register DeepWiki, because DeepWiki is a streamable HTTP server, I just supply a URL along with a name, and it will go and fetch the tools from it, some basic metadata, and I have a MCP registered in my gateway, right? Yeah. Let me, just for the sake of variety, okay, let me also register one or two more. Yeah, I actually have them. I'm also going to go for context 7, another popular one. Yeah, context 7 also has two tools, and it's streamable HTTP. I think I have a, yes. So I also have the time MCP. Time uses stdio, and it makes more sense because I can just run it locally. For an MCP like time, which uses stdio, you can also use a configuration file because it's slightly more complex. Like you got to specify commands and arguments and all that. But once you have a configuration that looks something like this, and okay, cool. So now I have 3 servers. I have a bunch of tools. I have a total of 7 tools in my gateway now. Cool. Yeah, the hard part is done. Now I can go straight to Claude. Let me try to configure something. Yeah. Now notice that the only where is my configuration? Hang on. It didn't open on my oh yeah, okay, never mind. It's here. Yeah. So notice that now the only MCP that I do need to configure in my Claude will be MCP Jungle, just the gateway and nothing else, because everything else will be accessible via it, right? So let me go straight to, yeah. And this is what the configuration looks like for connecting Claude to MCP Jungle.
Hey, Raghav, I just want to let you know we're kind of running a little low on time, so probably need to get through the last of this in the next minute or two.
Absolutely. Thanks. Yeah, so by default, it runs on 8080, and you can just go there. But yeah, if you're running it on a different port, then you can just configure that. Everything else remains the same. Now that my MCP's jungle is configured, how about, wait, I think I will need to, I think Claude requires like a restart for the MCP to kick in. Yeah. I think now I have a bunch of tools. Let's pray this works, because statistically, technical demos don't work when you need them to. Okay, no, but it looks like, yeah, I do have access to the tools, because MCP Jungle should be connected. Yes. Okay, nice. Then let's look at a very simple tool. What time is it in Milan? Let's see if Claude is able to. Claude wants to use get current time from MCP Jungle. Okay, yeah, that's exactly what we were looking for. Now, Claude is capable of accessing all the MCP servers via the single gateway. I can just allow, and it will do. Another quick example. So these are just, I'm just running very basic queries because you get the idea of calling the MCP. Get me the repo structure, readme structure for Facebook/React repository. Yeah, I'm expecting this to call the deepwiki MCP. Yes, it did, right? Again, from MCP Jungle. Now, all these calls are actually going via MCP Jungle as a gateway. So again, your AI agents could be just connecting to the gateway, call the tools. Everything that's happening in the background in the gateway is being recorded. You have the ability to set the controls, get observability, and do whatever else you want. I think I'm now out of time, so I'm just going to pause the demo right here. But yeah, I think I've already shown the essential functionality of MCP Jungle.
Awesome, Raghav. Thanks so much for going through all that. And I know it's a lot to get through in a short amount of time, but it looks like you put a ton of work into the project. I know we kind of saw mostly the aggregation of MCPs in your demo and sort of the ability to set the aggregation and push those there. But you said there's multi-tenancy and a number of other things in there as well. So I can sort of set up for a team, define MCPs, and kind of choose who can access them. I can set some level of policy. Is that stuff that is also in the product?
Yes. Okay. All of it is already there. So we have constantly been talking to our users and then been iterating based on their feedback. So access control, like which agent is capable of control, like accessing which MCP servers, that kind of control is already there. OAuth is still something which is not there, but like it's already work in progress. We are already trying to add the support for it. But yeah, there's and plenty of other stuff. Like you can just create a basket of tools that you want to expose to your agent and then just expose those. So yeah, all that stuff is there.
Awesome. Darren, do you have any questions for Raghav?
Do you support, so have you integrated like the new registry support in those things? Like, yeah.
Yeah. So at the moment, no. And there's an ongoing discussion actually on what is the best way for us to integrate with the registry. Because ideally, what we want to do is we want to pull the information about all the MCPs available in the registry and then make those MCPs available to our users so they
Yeah.
can just run a very simple command and just start running that MCP server. But there's the question of security over there, and that's where we are actually trying to explore more.
Yeah. I mean, because I think that's one of the, the security aspect is such a difficult challenge, but I think that's kind of where like registry becomes interesting. It's not that like, it's for the ability of people to create their own registries that are then validated and because that's the only way we're really seeing kind of security being addressed right now is just pretty much through curation. It's like, okay, these ones are good because we've kind of tested because there's just so many like prompted and so many attack vectors that so yeah, it's the same with the registry. It's pretty interesting to be able to build your own, and not so much like one gigantic public one, unless there's somebody validating those somehow. So
yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's coming soon. The integration with the registry is coming very soon.
Awesome,
yeah,
man.
I mean, actually, like registry is kind of like on my like to-do list of like trying to understand a little more. It's I don't actually know that level of the specification very well, so just curious. Yeah.
Well, Raghav, thank you so much for joining us. I know it's late in Amsterdam, and we'll keep an eye on the project. Congrats on all the success so far. It looks exciting.
Yeah, it's really cool. I love that it's a CLI. I really like the CLI interface and just yeah.
Simplicity. Yeah, I love.
Yeah, I'm a guy who lives in the terminal, so for me, it's like, yeah, I love this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Shannon and Darren. Thank you so much for having me here.
Awesome. Take care.